All righty, we are live. It is Friday, Friday fun, Friday, all the things. I am going to be giving you a beautiful lender friend of mine. She's going to give you some great insight on some information about the rates here in Bakersfield, in California, and nationwide. And we're going to be absolutely talking about like some of the Dream for All stuff, some of the stuff that you guys need to know about like the longevity of things. So if you are new here, I am Angel Shabilsky. I am a local Bakersfield realtor. You have reached the Living in Bakersfield channel. This channel is all about introducing you to an incredible community that I would encourage you to look into. If you're looking to buy a house, move to Bakersfield, call this place home. We have some of all of the things that you can have access to in the state. We're only 2 hours from the coast, 2 hours from the mountains, 2 hours from Disney, and a few hours up to like Fresno and some of the other areas. And if you want to go see a Dodger game or if you want to go see a Giants game, it's just a day trip. So nothing out of the ordinary when you call this place home, other than you get to be a part of an incredible community. So with that, if you are interested in moving here, a call, a text, an email, we'll get that process started. My team and I would love to help you in that and get you figured out, like, what's your price point? Do you have something to sell? Do we have to, get a gift from somebody? How's it all going to work? That's my job. That is Veronica's job. She does this all day, every day. She and I work together. I'm going to introduce you to her, Veronica Morales. Ta-da! I wish I had the clapping hands for everybody to get to know you. So here's Veronica. She works well, I'm not going to speak for her. Go ahead, Veronica.
Well, I'm Veronica Morales from Buena Vista Mortgage. I'm here locally in Bakersfield. I actually moved about 20 years ago from Ventura County. I was born and raised in Oxnard, and I came because most people for affordability. And so I've been here
Girl.
ever since. It's
Yeah.
been 20 years. I
Raising
cannot
a
believe it.
family, doing all the
Mhm.
things, right?
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, I still see family. We're 2 hours from everything, so I like
Yeah.
that part.
Love
So
it. Okay, Vero. So for those of you that are friendly with Veronica, we call her Vero, but if you want to call her Veronica, she'll answer to both. But so I'm seeing situations, multiple price points, still getting multiple offers, right? So our average days on market is about 39, 47, right in that window, depending on the price point. How is that laying out for what you are doing with some of the transactions that you're working on?
well, we have to be aggressive. I think that even though the market there are multiple offers. I mean, it just different price points,
Yeah.
200, 300, even 700, depending on the property and how desirable it is.
Yes.
It amazes me it's still like that because people still need a place to live,
Yes.
regardless of how the rates are. You need usually two incomes to qualify, but people
Yeah.
are still, this is the market, right, where it gets hot, spring, summer. People
Yeah.
are definitely moving.
Yeah. Yeah, I have several sellers that are queuing up right now to get ready to go on market so that they can, spring selling season, so they can get on market and then they can go and be where they need to be by the time school starts or, whatever. So how are the rates today? Let's just hit that ball straight out.
So today the rates are, so we have government and conventional, the two most common traditional financing. FHA, you're in about to low to mid sixes.
Okay.
Conventional, you're in the high sixes, low sevens. The
Okay.
rates have been so volatile. I mean, they've been
Right?
volatile since October, November. And I can share something with you to
Yes.
show you the history because I think it's pretty. I mean, people ask me, should I buy or what are the rates going to be? And so I don't want to share my opinion. I want to share facts.
Right. The data
So
doesn't lie.
right, exactly. So let me see if I can. Oh, here we go.
And if you have any comments or questions for Veronica, please feel free to leave those below. They will pop up and I can ask them to her. So if you are watching this, whether you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to leave a comment and it will come up and we can ask Veronica live. while she does that.
Can you see this well?
Oh, let me add it to the stage. Look at
Okay,
that.
okay,
Oh,
sounds good.
yeah. What
You
is
see it?
this?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, this is it is so I'm gonna enlarge it in my window, see if it makes a difference. So
Yeah.
I think this speaks louder than than anybody's opinion. Right? Everybody, we all have an opinion. But if you look at this graph, this is from Freddie Mac. So Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, they buy the loans. They set the guidelines for conventional loans. And so and these are just conventional loans. So it just gives you a good gauge of where rates are, have been, and where they are. So if you look at 1975, rates were about the 10, right? A little over 10. And you look all the way to present. I mean, we look at people are like, I'm gonna wait until I'm in the week until rates are back in the twos or threes. Well, it hadn't happened since this chart, 1975, right? I don't
Right?
know before. I was born in 75, Angel.
Right?
So I don't think I'm gonna see it in my lifetime. Maybe not. I don't know.
Right?
But regardless of rates, I mean, look how volatile, even look at in the 80s, 83, 18%. Sometimes I talk to, older people. So their rates today does not scare them because they've seen it higher.
Yeah. Now,
But
when I'm bringing somebody in on an offer and and you were talking about, like, I don't know that everybody knows that you can get a rate buy down, whether it's FHA or conventional, right? You can do that
correct.
regardless of what kind of loan you have.
Oh, yes, you can do buy down, meaning you can lower your interest rate
Mhm.
permanently, so you pay points, you pay an
Mhm.
additional amount to lower your interest rate.
Right.
And when you do that, people think if I pay 1 point, let's say the loan amount is 300,000,
Mhm.
okay? So if rate is at a 7, an example, and if I round my rate, if I pay 1 point, meaning 1% of 300,000 is 3,000.
Right.
1 point doesn't mean 1 point less than rate. It's
Okay.
it's equivalent to about a quarter of a percent.
Okay.
That would be a permanent bite down. Or we could look at what's a half a percent. So with my clients, we can lock an interest rate when we have an accepted offer because it's tied to that sales price,
Right.
to that address. Then we
Right.
look at where the market is at that time.
Right.
If you
That's
okay,
I think a lot of people could benefit from knowing that information because they look at what is, all on the internet of like, oh, it's the same cost to buy, to rent. It's the same. You're never gonna get ahead, blah, blah, blah. But then when you look at like, but wait a minute, like I can make, yeah, my rent, or excuse me, my mortgage payment might be $2,900, but my interest rate isn't like going to keep going up like rent would. Like my interest rate's going to stay, my payment is going to stay that whole time that I'm there, that number. Right. And
correct.
that's the beauty of when you get your rate bought down is that you're getting that number that it's not going to go up. You're not waiting for somebody to call you and be, oh, it's up now. Like it's going to be that the whole time.
Correct. And people think, maybe when you buy, your mortgage is more than rent, but eventually it's going to catch up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe 5 to 7 years, usually like the way the rate of rent increase.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, you're paying something down. And really, and this is kind of like a cliche, but it's really, marry the house, date the rate. And I don't say that lightly, right?
Right.
I can't say rates are going to be less in a year or two. They're going to be this amount.
Right.
We could just look at data, but we know what the feds are telling us, what we hear. It should get better when we don't know. But even if it goes down a point,
Hmm.
that they say if rates decrease a point, nationally, 5 million people will enter the home buying process.
That's
What's
mind
going to
blowing.
happen?
Right. There's not
Yeah.
5 million houses for everybody.
Right, right. So just that change lower in rate is going to create more competition. So let's say you buy right now, let's say you buy at a 7 and you qualify. The good thing is that if you looking at this chart, if you
Oh,
look at
whoops. Let me bring it back. Sorry.
oh, no problem.
Yeah.
There's these shaded areas, these columns. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Well, that represents the recessions that we have had.
Oh, yeah.
So we look at, we remember, and I remember the market crash. Whoa, I was in the market then, and it was horrid.
Yeah.
We when we buy now, anybody that I've talked to, and I know because I've lost homes during that time,
Yeah.
but the difference is that back then you only qualified based on credit and your assets. You can have a 620 credit score, zero down, and nothing else was needed.
Yeah.
Everybody qualified.
You fogged a
Now,
mirror, you got a house.
exactly. Now it's legit. It's you qualified. Yeah. And something can happen with your job. But I think lenders, servicing companies have adapted to, they don't want to default on your home. They want to help you and they'll try to find solution, do a loan modification. So they've kind of learned, from the past. So, I mean, buying the way you qualify now, it's 30-year fix. You know this is what your payment is, and you prepare for that future. And
Yeah.
it's you prepare for rent, just as you prepare for mortgage and people and it correct me if I'm wrong, Angel. I see people sometimes they want to buy their first home and they want to start here, like 500,000, but it's okay to start small. It's your
Yes.
first home.
Yeah.
Why
You
not
don't
get
know what
in
you don't
now?
know yet, right? You don't know that you don't want to be a gardener and maybe you've got a
Mhm.
giant backyard, no pool, and you're like,
Mhm.
I don't really want to do that. I mean, so we're only going to live here a few more years until I can move to something where I've got, landscaping included. Like I can get an HOA that'll take care of that. Like there are
Yes.
things you just don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing is just getting in now into
Hmm.
something that you're comfortable. I mean, what was I mean, my first house is not where I live now. It was not my dream house. And I'm not in my dream house and I'm okay with that. But I've
Right.
always upgraded. And
Right.
you start here. And I think that's so crucial.
Yeah. Well, I was in Southern California when we moved up here to the Central Valley. We moved up to the Visalia area in 2001 because
Ah.
we were like, we don't want to buy in Southern California because we it was a condo and we wanted a house. So we went to Visalia and that house was beautiful. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it was, bigger than anything we could have ever considered down in Orange County. And, and that then became a
Mhm.
rental. And then it then became something that we sold later on and bought another investment property with. So, like, the first house is the jumping off point. You don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and wait because that property could then become something that gets you another property down the road that it's not even on your radar when you're buying your first house. So yeah, I'm with you.
Exactly. I
I'm not
had a
in my first
condo.
house either.
Oh, yeah, it's because to save, people think I'm gonna save more, but if you wait to save, that one house is going to cost more. The
Yep.
average appreciation, we're not talking about COVID or when people were, there was 20 offers on a house, you paid 10, 20,000 over price, but the
Right.
average is maybe 4 to 5%. That same house, let's say 300,000, in 2, 3 years, it's gonna cost you way more, right?
Yeah.
45, 50,000 more. I bought a condo in Ventura County. Yeah, it was just a condo, but it was good for me.
Yeah.
Kept it like you did as a rental.
Yep.
Then I bought here, kept it, and then I sold it and bought other real estate. I would not
Yep.
have been able to save all that money
Nope. And you didn't
myself
know
if it
that when
wasn't
you
for real
bought the
estate. So,
condo. You didn't know that that was gonna be
no.
something that you had on your radar for all those years later. You were just like, "I'm buying a condo. It's what I can afford."
Yep. And you know what helped me during that time? I remember it was 24 years ago, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, baby.
And was what that was my first, like, self-improvement book, and that
Yeah.
gave me the goal that I'm gonna buy my house. I'm gonna buy my own now. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
wait. And
Yeah.
so,
Good for
but
you.
yeah, you don't know what's gonna happen in the future. Mhm.
That's it. Okay, so let's
Yep.
switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the California Dream for All and some of the changes that are going on with the lawsuit with the National Association of Realtors and how buyers, for a while, they hadn't really worked out some of the details on buyers being able to contribute to certain loans, or excuse me, to certain transactions. So which one do you want to talk about first? The Dream for All and or the other one? Can you hear
We'll do
me?
Dream for All.
Oh,
if you don't mind. So, uh,
sure. Yeah.
yes, I can hear you.
I thought, oh
Okay,
no.
so let's talk about the dream for all.
Okay.
I'm still here.
I know, right?
I'm getting ready my slide for the next one. So
Sure, sure.
the dream for all,
Mhm.
this was the second year they rolled it out.
Mhm.
Last year it was, I believe there was a little about 500 million that was allocated for first time home buyers. So last year they used about 300,000. It was gone in 10 days. So what they did this time around is like it was just crazy. It created a frenzy. It was
Yeah.
20% down assistance
Yeah.
for you could use that for down payment and closing costs, but you had to get
Mhm.
into a property quick. Like you
Right.
better go before the money's out. So it was crazy. Well, it was different this time.
Yeah.
Uh, this time you had to be a first generation home buyer, meaning you have not owned a property in the last 7 years. Because the definition of first time home buyers, you have not owned a property in the last 3 years. First
Okay.
generation is 7 years, and
Okay.
your parents do not currently own a property in the US. So the way that
That
happens is
narrows
we
the
would
field quite
qualify
a
them.
bit. That
The client would
we went
register on
from
the portal.
yeah. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was interrupting you.
Yeah, to this.
No.
No, no, 18,000 people applied, and only 1% will get this money. It's a lottery based. Last time it was first come, first serve. Now it's a
Yeah.
lottery.
And it's a down payment
So it's a lot
assistance,
more
right?
control. Yes, yes. So it's a down payment assistant, 20% for down payment and closing costs. You
Wow.
basically will come out with very little out of pocket besides appraisal inspection fees, those kind of
Mm,
things.
mhm.
And it's also shared appreciation. So meaning they'll let you borrow this 20%.
Yeah.
You pay that back later when you sell or refinance the property. When you do that, you're going to pay back that original amount. Let's say you got 60,000 because it's 20% of the sales price, no more than 150,000 to some of the higher cost areas.
Okay.
Last time they didn't have a cap.
Oh,
So
that's why it went so
LA,
fast.
San
'Cause
Francisco,
yeah.
obviously it consumed a lot more of those funds.
Yeah. Yeah. 10% on a home
Yes,
in
it
San
was
Jose
insane.
is different than 10% down or 20%
And
down
so
here.
now this
Go ahead.
exactly. Yes. And so it's a really great program. Yes, you pay back that original amount and 20% of whatever the equity has increased. So if the equity increased by the time you want to pay that money back or refinance to consolidate to only have one loan at that time, because you're not paying on that
Mhm.
20% assistance they give you. It's silent on title, you pay that later.
Oh, okay, good to
If the
know.
homes goes increases, let's say 50,000, you pay your original 20%, and if it goes up 50,000, you pay 20% of that amount. So if
Okay.
you if they you borrow 60,000 for your down payment and closing costs, that's 60, right? And let's say
Yeah.
from that 50,000 you pay 20%, which is 10,000. You're going to pay back 70,000.
Woo. You better stay there a while and
So,
get some equity built up in
yes, I
that
mean,
house.
it's money that and you wanna pay that off as soon as possible, right? You're able to consolidate and
Yeah.
your payment's gonna be on a lower amount because it's only gonna be, 85% of the sales price. It's gonna
Mhm.
get you in something affordable now, and with time, as the buyers maybe income increases and they're able to make a bigger payment by consolidating that help, but there's no time. They could do that in 5, 10 years, whenever they wanna pay that off. There's no set time
Good job. That's good to know.
to pay that money
That's good
back.
for them. That's good for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so now talk
Yes.
to me
But
about the
even
other oh,
nonetheless, even though
yeah,
this portal,
go ahead.
the closing costs, you wanna know? Oh,
Yeah. No, we yeah,
something
sorry.
happened right
I
now.
I know something went. Oh, it was like it was showing us again. So if I add this here, it's showing us again. So I removed it because so it would just be me and you. But I think it's until you pull up your slide, it'll be better when you pull up your closing cost slide or the other slide you were
Okay,
going to
good,
show me.
good. Want me to go ahead and do that? Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna right
Again, if
here.
you are watching this and you
Here
have questions for
we
either
go.
Veronica or myself, feel free to leave those in the comment below. We'd love to hear from you. You've got direct access to her right now, and it's a beautiful thing. And she's wicked smart. So if you want to talk to her privately, her information is down below. You can reach her via text, call, or email as well. Oh, there it is. Let me add it to the screen,
Yes, I'm
Vero.
always
Go ahead. There
okay,
it is.
sounds
Seller
good.
concessions. Yes.
Yes. So, yes, the NAR lawsuit. So, I'm sure you'll touch on that. So, a lot of a lot of agents, a lot of people are concerned about it. So, first I wanted to talk about it's going to be different. I think that we all know that if the seller wants to sell a property and the buyer has an agent, now they're going to ask for concessions so the seller can pay the buyer's agent commission. The good
Hmm.
news is I have here, let's say you get a conventional loan. If you look at this top line, the norm, if the seller helps you with closing costs, which are your lender fees, escrow, title, recording, reoccurring costs such as prepaid property taxes and homeowners, if you put less than 10% down, the max they can give you is 3% of the sales price.
Hmm.
So that's a credit, that's money where the buyer can utilize for their closing cost only. The seller cannot contribute to the down payment.
Right.
So on April 15th, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which is a conventional, they set the guidelines, and they made an announcement. They said, and they said, the buyer's agent commission as part of the allowable interest party contributions will that money that the 3% you can get, that's not part of what the seller can pay for the buyer's commission. That is totally different.
Okay.
So because it's customary, especially here in California, for the seller to pay for the agent's commission.
Right.
So if the seller gives the agent a seller concession for the agent, the buyer's cost of 3%, and then they could get the 3% for closing costs. That is acceptable.
And it doesn't mess
FHA,
with yeah, it doesn't mess with the amount that they're borrowing. They just get to categorize it a little differently, right?
yes, yes. They're two different categories. It's not going to
Right.
mess with that whatsoever.
Mhm.
You have FHA announce that they're going to do the same thing as well. They
Mhm.
understand that buyers, how are they going to incur? How can they include that 3% that they're allowed to be the 3% commission?
Right.
They understand that there's the buyer is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I can speak to those of us that I'm going to do everything I can as the realtor to get the seller to continue to pay for it so that my buyer doesn't have to. But sometimes people just make that decision and they're like, nope, how bad do you want it? So then I would have to go back to my client and say, okay, here's the math. But
right.
if they have this type of loan, we could obviously work with you and be like, okay, how do we structure this so that they can get the house? I'm still paid by the seller at the amount that the seller was going to pay. And then this little subcategory, the buyer can work that with their loan and you so that all of those categories are met. They can still get the house, they can still get their loan, and then my brokerage and I can still get our commission through the sale. Yeah.
And that's important, Angel, and that's great because I think that listing agents like yourself is definitely your mindset is that you're fair, you're professional and ethical.
Right.
And
Thank you.
to already set that in the seller's mind, that is perfect because you're saying if you want this home to sell, you're going to be asked to pay a buyer's commission. You're already setting them up for that.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the difference between a good agent and not so good.
Well, and I think it's my and we work with some really top dog agents in town, and I'm just learning and listening from them and applying what I see working in their
Mhm.
business, and it's complete transparency. It's complete, like,
Mhm.
put it all on the table. Like, there's no benefit to me serving my sellers or serving my buyers by thinking I'm not giving them the like. I would never assume somebody couldn't understand this, right? Like,
Right.
that's not for me to say. So I have to be completely transparent with my seller and completely transparent with my buyer so that they understand, like, you might have to be kicking in if they're buying and the seller is not willing to pay the full commission that I have entered into the contract with the buyer on. So it's not gonna do me any good, but there are agents, like you and I both know, that will not be as forthcoming, unfortunately.
Yes, and
Mhm.
and I mean, you have to be transparent, letting the
Mhm.
seller know. I mean, really, can the buyer, if they want to sell the property to the buyer to pay their closing costs, down payment, and commission,
Yeah, that's a
there's not
lot.
going to be very many. Yeah, it's going to be a
Yeah.
lot. And to show the seller, we went to a training where, the sales manager, the owner, she showed, the seller, this is what the buyer is paying. And sometimes the sellers don't know,
Yeah,
right?
they look at and it's just human nature. It's not to slam a seller, but, like, the seller doesn't they're looking at their proceeds.
Net, yeah.
450 yeah, they're 457,000. But to get to that 457,000, the buyer's loan has to come in and take care of everything that, taking care of the solar, taking care of paying off, whatever they need to pay off for the seller at the sales price. And then all of the other closing costs and the commission and everything. So depending on how you look at it, because there's people out there that look at it very differently, but from a large perspective, the buyer is taking care of more than the seller is. The seller has the home, ta-da, here's my house, 123 Main Street, but the buyer is going to have to, like, take over the loan, or excuse me, take over the solar, bring in their loan, bring in their closing costs, and then, hey, you need an agent to walk you through it. So it can get a little sticky if you're not having those conversations 100%.
Oh, right. The buyer's coming in with the offer. Without the
Hmm.
offer, the seller cannot make their money. And I mean, and yeah, we can go to what's fair, what has worked. Unfortunately, that initial lawsuit wasn't in California, because I think California, the CAR here, the California Association of Realtors, did things ethically.
Hmm.
But there's changes, but I think we're going to be okay. It's going to be a transition, but agents like yourself that you're being educated and learning how to structure this are going to
Yeah.
survive and help the
Yeah.
buyers.
Well, and that's kind of where I land 9 times out of 10 is like, okay, that's nice. Get all of that out of my way. But how can I continue to serve my clients? How can I continue to give them the best service
Mhm.
that I can offer them, whether we're selling or buying, so that that doesn't really become the focus of what we're doing?
Right.
you know but anyway, so that's just
Yes,
me and you and
yes.
the industry that we're in. But anything else you want to add in about, like, because we both know it's still a seller's market. We have, like, less than 2.5 months of inventory. I think it's even less than two last time I checked. Let me see, pull that up. But do you have anything else you want to add in?
People are buying. Gosh, I don't know, but we've been slammed on qualifying. People want to just buy a home. They've
Good
realized, you
job.
know what? These rates aren't going to go down. So let's get in. And the good thing is that when you're looking for a home, I mean, the way we handle it here, I have an assistant, and both of us, we don't just run the credit. We want to see, where are you
Right.
at? Let's look at your income. What's your monthly budget for a home? What
Hmm.
is your debts? So let's give you different options. Then you decide, you know what, those numbers look good to me. Let's proceed and finish the pre-approval. Because some people might not know, if I want a payment of 2,000, 2,500, what sales price is that equivalent to?
Hmm. Yeah,
I
you
have
have
a
to reverse
client
engineer
that
it.
started at 300. Yeah, I had a client that started at 300,000 because they were being more conservative. They qualified for way more, right? They
Right,
said, "No, I
right.
want a payment of X amount." Now we're at 450.
Funny
They
how that
easily
works.
qualify. Yeah, I mean, my debt to income ratio, the percentage of their income, of what their income is, it's only like 30%.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of room, but they were testing the waters and their
Mhm.
offers weren't getting accepted. And so they asked for, right at asking price, a lot of buyers. And so maybe they qualify a little bit more and maybe look at a lower home or offer 5,000 more. I mean, it's working with great agents like yourself to negotiate that, have clear communication.
Well,
And
and
we
how
keep
often
giving
do
them
we talk to you guys?
estimates.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that communication that
A
I
lot.
offer my client, yeah,
Yes, we
is
have to have
because
to be
we're
team players.
exactly. We're texting and calling. How can we do this? How can we do this?
Yes.
Well, thank you, Veronica. Thank you for coming on and sharing just how much of a rock star I know you are. Again, if anybody is interested in getting their own personal numbers sorted with Veronica, all of her information is in the description below. It is always a great time to buy real estate. Like I've said, you don't wait to buy real estate, you buy real estate and wait. And like Veronica said, it does not have to be your dream house with all the bells and whistles. It can just be getting you into the
Mhm.
market. Because once you're in the market, right, Vero, like you won't leave. It's
Yes.
rare that you're going to leave.
For sure. You're just gonna it's amazing to see, even though it's equity, you have so many options. And one thing I wanted to throw out there, I mean, we even though the Dream for All ended, we don't know if it'll come back, but we have other down payment assistance programs. So, give
Right.
us a call so we can help you see what that looks like and what are the guidelines. So to help you
Yeah.
get into a home.
Yeah, because if you're a teacher, if you're a first-time home buyer, if you're
Mhm.
in law enforcement, if you're, I mean, a nurse, there's so many things that they can qualify for based on their profession or if they're a veteran, like there's a lot of things that you can,
Correct.
move the numbers around and help them out. That's what I love.
Definitely. I mean, we just qualified someone a VA this morning, already had a home, and now we qualify him for a VA loan. So we offer so many options. We kind of ask questions to guide you, give you the options, then we get to running the credit because credit can be fixed. Income, debt is the way it is. If I have a
Yeah.
car payment, you're not going to pay that off, right? It's 20 grand, 30,000. So we'll
Right,
help you
right.
maneuver that and see what we can do.
I love it. Thank you so much, Vero. I look forward to doing this again. This was the market update and the rate update and the everything update for Bakersfield in May of 2024. We will see you around town, right, Vero? I'll see you at the office probably, but we'll definitely see you
Yes.
around town.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, you bet. All right. Have a great day. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, you too. Bye-bye. Bye, bye-bye.